Welcome back to another Reading and Correcting. With me, Kindar, the Tiger Writes, and I, the Tiger Supervisor. These are where I read a chapter from one of my stories and correct it as I go. If you want to listen to these live, it's every Tuesday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Time on Twitch and YouTube. And if you are looking to support me, that is on my Patreon. Today, we are doing Chapter 39 of The Technician's Fight. Gralgiran stood in his office. This reflects a change that will be established earlier. Um, you know, uh, an alpha stands. Um, um, One of my Patreon supporter made me realize that I had him sitting down for a lot of meetings, virtual meetings uh, with the leadership. Um, and I kind of went, yeah, you know what? Yeah, that's right. He would not do that. Gralgiran stood in his office, the leadership projected before him. Unlike his usual interactions, this warranted a full table, so the projection reduced their size to that of toys they sold to promote military life. 5 of them, seated at a crescent-shaped table with him in the center of it, if this were in person. We need one of those machines. Admiral Thromacarin Omerita Mil Selstafe said, before anyone else could bring up the subject of their interest. I can ensure that, he replied. Not only was he interested in getting into an argument with this admiral, but he wanted to ensure that when he was firm on something, they didn't have more reasons to argue with him than they already than they'd already found. Than they already had. Than they already had. He'd filed a report with the leadership before filing it with the Federation for this purpose. To show them he put his people first, even before the profits putting something on the open market might gain him. He no longer needed Tom's reminder for this strategy. He still wished his friend was present, but just like when he faced them in person, they would see it as interference with their... Okay. Their authority if they realized he was there. If they realized he was there. What have your hunters worked out about them? General Triurt Gar Orkstre Torimar asked. Nothing. As per Federation protocol, we aren't authorized to investigate technology considered evidence in a Federation investigation, which this will be due to the number of Federation species that were... Okay, species is not capitalized. Federation species that were kidnapped and used as test subject. Those include Kelsirian citizens, she said. Therefore, I order you to open one up and have the reports forwarded to me. I'm told hunters have unorthodox tech. Hopefully, they'll work faster than the device reaching us. He can't do that. Admiral Crosswetorak Firnato Dol Kerimar said education needs to run that by the Federation. I won't have tech used against our people held up just because there's bureaucracy out there more interested in their well-being. Open one up, she ordered. I will, Gralgiran said before the Admiral objected again, as soon as I received the orders through official channels, which would have records and therefore sent back to the General. With that, to protect his hunters, he'd officially let them open another one. Regarding the station, Admiral Duan Salsinta Kreftia said, the amount you're asking is unreasonable. So much for giving them more before he had to bare his teeth. He'd hoped for this to be the last item he'd have to deal with. It's a fraction of what I can ask for on the market. But can you get any of that there, but can you get cursor, where's the cursor? There's the cursor. But can you get those there? It's a fraction of what I can ask for on the market, but can you get those there? Accountant Hiramik Trolikan Groftel ask, items of that value don't have a history of selling. I'm certain a station with servers full of data on illegal operations it ran will find a buyer among the Federation species whose citizens were victims, if you aren't interested. If any of that data is still there by the time we take possession of it, the general stated. The packs shut everything down other than emergency life support. The worst any one you send will have to worry about is someone hiding. Your report stated your pack brought everyone they could as prisoners. A section of the station was blacked out. They did a sweep, but without broad range sensors, someone clever enough could evade them. Someone more clever than hunters? Admiral Thromakarin Omeritamil Selstafe said with derision. We aren't infallible, Admiral. We also lacked knowledge of the hunting grounds and the time to sniff for each and every smell they had rescued people to bring back without knowing what the battlefield looked like. Regarding those rescued, Admiral Croswetorax Fiernato Dol Kerimar said, Is it possible to resolve the issue of acquiring the station? The accountant asked. My calculations show the Hunter Alpha is asking 12% more than is justified. Ah, the general exclaimed. He's not getting more than half that. We shouldn't even have to pay for the thing. It's ours by right of victory. It's the Alpha Hunter's victory. Trodgar, Admiral Duan Selsinta Kreftia countered, unless you plan on arguing with this is Alpha, regarding whose order he obeys. Still, I think we can offer him 80% of what he's demanding and consider that generous. No, Gralgiran said. I'll agree to 88% of the initial amount, but no less. Well, he didn't care for the accountant. He respected him because he never wasted time. 12% was 1% more than he'd preferred, but within the 3% margin his accountant had told him to stand firm on. With the leadership accountant on his side, this was a fight he didn't have to worry about as much. Alpha, I don't think you understand the importance of this station, the Admiral said. If I didn't, I wouldn't be asking for what I feel it's worth. Your accountant has made an offer below what I want, but to which I'm willing to agree. Exactly. Admiral Thromarkarin Omeritan Mil Selstafe said, if you're willing to agree to it, I'm not willing to if you're willing to agree to it, I'm not. For all I know, you two colluded to extract more than it's worth from us, so you can finance your little war against the Earthers. I would never, the accountant exclaimed. I am loyal to the leadership. I have no feeling toward this Alpha or any of his ilk. I was given the numbers to study. If you aren't interested in my advice, I will retire from this meeting. Please stay, Admiral Croswetorak Fiernato do Dull. Yeah, dull. Dol Kerimar said the Admiral is only stating his, that's going to be emphasized, his biased belief, not those of the leadership. This is not the time for your personal hunt, Tromakarin. This involves all of us, our people. Don't cause us to lose access to vital information on the Earthers for whatever reason you have to oppose the Alpha. He looked at the accountant. 88% is fair to the Alpha and the leadership? Based on the numbers and the Alpha's demonstration to the willingness to wait for something closer to what the market can bear, yes, it is fair to both parties. Then I agree. So do I. Admiral Duan Selsinta Kreftia said. See to the transfer. missing the S, of funds. Now, regarding the people who have been experimented on, their stasis pods are in medical and have been scanned. Well, not Federation tech. The medic have not detected any negative effect on those within. What about their minds? That can't be explored unless we bring one of them out of stasis, and the Earther scientists are adamant it is a bad idea. You have mentalist, don't you? General Trudgar Oskre Torimar asked. Yes, but they aren't trained to work on alien minds. They also don't know the Kelsirians who have been experimented on, so can't know if what they're getting is them or an altered version. As their reports state, all they can say is that they didn't find any overt evidence of tampering similar to what Hunter Jeremy Bradshaw experienced. But in their current state, most of their minds are dormant, so those changes could be there. Arrangements are being made for our people to be for your people to be met by military medical packs. Admiral Duan Selsinta Kreftia said, "You will not hand them over to anyone else." I don't expect the Federation to object. I don't expect the Federation will object to that. Shouldn't we get one of each of the others? The general asked. There is something to be learned in how each mind was affected. You are welcome to try to convince their species representative of that, the admiral replied. What of the prisoners? Admiral Croswetorak Firnato Dol Kirimar asked. I'm afraid the scientists have already made claims to become citizens of Federation species, Gralgiran said. Why did you give them the choice? The admiral demanded. I didn't. They were clearly instructed on how Federation laws function. Federation laws function. And considering the crimes they committed against so many species, I expect those government will be eager to accept their requests so they can attempt to get them to undo the damage. Can you see to it one of the scientists ceases to be? The admiral asked. If ordered to do so by the leadership using proper channels. Gralgiran replied. Oh, so now you take our orders. Admiral Tromarkaren or Omerita Mil Selstafe said. I'll accept it from my Alpha as well. The other's snort were all that was needed to set the expectations of that happening. His Alpha wasn't one to blindly carry the leadership's command. How about the parrots? Those are ours. Gralgiran said they kidnapped our people within our territory. But it's doubtful they'll have any useful information, Admiral Duan Selsinta Kreftia said. Did they make a request to gain another species citizenship? Only after the scientists explain how it works and why they want to. Someone told them about our incarceration centers, but I didn't feel like honoring their requests. And because only Kelsirians were victims, the Federation sides with us here. Their lack of knowledge supports they won't know anything useful. She looked at the others. It's not like the centers will be done terraforming their planet anytime soon, Admiral Croswetorak Fernato Dol Kirimar said. We can ship them there once we've made sure. There will be a pack to take them off your hands, Alpha. He acknowledged with a nod and readied himself for the last item. The one that shouldn't be on the table, but which they would be sure to bring up. He would have preferred not mentioning the ship, but salvage had to be included, that he planned to put it on the market or not. Regarding the ship you captured, it's not for sale. Alpha, it's a military asset, the general said. It's a pirate ship of Earther design. There's a lot we can learn from it. You own a station designed by those same people. I doubt there's anything you could learn on this ship that you can't there. What could you want with such a ship, Alpha? Admiral Thromakaren Omerita Mil Selstafe asked, tone dripping with suspicion. That's between me and the gods. We can offer you a substantial price for it. Admiral Crossway-Torak Fionato Dol Kerimar looked at the accountant. The ship isn't on the market, so I don't have a starting amount to work from. It's also an unknown design by an unknown species. Therefore, I have nothing to use as a similar reference. Whatever amount I'd give you would be useless. Alpha, the Admiral said, his tone softening. Handing the ship over to the leadership would go a long way toward undoing some of the animosity you have accumulated. That may be the case, if you actually believe that, but I have more pressing needs for it than your goodwill. Alpha, the Admiral said, tone hardening, do not give us reason to make your life difficult. I never do, and yet you always found some that's going to have to be utilized. And yet you always find some. Return to Kelsier now. I'm on the line. I don't care if you're in the forest. You're going to bring your balls back home so I can clear it with my Alpha. Your ship is still mine, therefore falls under law. If my Alpha orders me home, I will comply. Until then, I have a contract with the Federation to keep the line safe. The Admiral stood and laughed, vanishing from the projection. I guess this meeting is over. What happened here? I guess this meeting is over. Admiral Thromakarin Omerital Selstaffe said with a satisfied smirk before also leaving. The accountant gave Gralgiran a flick of the ear as departing acknowledgement. The general left with a disappointed shake of the head. Which left Admiral Duan Selsinta Kreftia at the table, and she didn't look ready to leave. Without the others, no official decisions could be reached, so Gralgiran wondered what she wanted. Why does obstinance need to oppose us, Alpha? She asked, sounding tired. We are protecting the same people. He limited his answer to a glare. Doom Noir, the Admiral's is way too esoteric. Wait, I'm recording this. I'll get back to you afterwards. You caught me by surprise. Why does Upson need to oppose us, Alpha? She asked, sounding tired. We are protecting the same people. He limited his answer to a glare. It's only us, Alpha. I won't hold your reasons against you. I just seek to understand. And yet, he said, tone clipped, there will be a recording. Not admissible before justification, but before adjudication, but still useful to make his enemy bare their teeth. She made a motion, looked to someone off projection, then nodded. Now you are the only one with the recording. If she told the truth. If she didn't, he had proof she'd misled him. Not that it would do any good in placating his enemies within the leadership. Still, if she was honest in her desires to understand the position they kept putting him in, maybe he could make an ally. I don't oppose the leadership. And yet, there are piles of records of you refusing orders we give you, because they run contrary to those given to me by those whose authority I bound myself to when I became a hunter. The gods don't... I understand you don't believe. He cut her off, not interested in that argument. And I don't ask that you do. But we have been the gods' hunter from the day Helravnir asked Iluwar Koran obey Rifte to take up his hunt. We swear to protect them and through them our people. Every time you come and demand that we obey you without thought to our gods, you force me to say no. But where are those orders? She asked. How are we to know you aren't just doing whatever you want out there? By judging our actions. If you can't believe the gods do order us, which Alpha among us has committed crimes against our people? Do you want me to list? Do you want me to list each and every one of you that has done questionable actions? We operate in the void. Sometimes our actions have no choice but to be questioned. But what comes of those actions? You don't like I have a Halan on my ship, but because of the information he provided me, I was able to dismantle 2 weapon trafficking organizations. And has it ever occurred to you he's using you to advance his family? When I first took him on, I had my investigation packs go over everything he offered for a connection to the Tals. It was never there. Every encounter, every subtle query has supported he is hated by his mother, who is the head of the Tals. It's called a long hunt for a reason. Then go over my hunts. I have recorded who provided me with the information in my reports. Look over those my quartermaster's information brought into being, or help conclude and judge him by those results. That's not enough. We are not your soldiers, Admiral. We belong to the gods. The age of the gods ended centuries ago, Alpha, the day we left the ground. No, if anything, moving among space, being brought into the Federation proved they are real. If the gods weren't real, the other species wouldn't also have theirs. The Earthers don't. He snorted. Oh, they do. They call it science, reason. They build their entire society on the belief that everything has an equation when so much of what we experience doesn't fit any such things. That's different. Equations might not answer everything right now, but in time, we will see they do. So that's the God you follow. Science isn't the gods. I can prove how it works, why a rock thrown in the air will fall to the ground, how much blood will flow when I rip an Oceaniac's throat open. And my work, my life, is proof of the gods I know to exist. I don't ask you to believe, Admiral. I ask that the leadership respects. We can't trust you if we don't know where your allegiances are, Alpha. I don't see how you can't understand that. My allegiances are where every Kelsirian who call themselves a child of Turoximians will be, with the gods. That isn't enough, Alpha. That's all I can offer, Admiral. To offer more, I will have to go against my gods. She nodded. That way of thinking can't survive. I won't claim to know that, and I don't have a need to ask the seers what the future holds for the hunters. It will survive while I live, and while the hunters under my protection do so as well. Beyond that, I will have to wait for my next life to see what the gods made of our world. I was hoping to help you make your future easier, Alpha. And I appreciate your intentions, that's plural, your intentions. But I am a hunter. Easy is something I appreciate, not something I seek. Then, Alpha, until our scents cross, I wish you good hunting. She gestured, and the projection ended. And this concludes chapter 39 of the Technicians Fight. The Technicians Fight. If you are enjoying this, please leave a like. If you want to know when the next chapter will be up, subscribe and hit the bell. If you want to read this story, it is available on Ream Story. If you want to listen to these live, it's every Tuesday morning, 8 a.m. on Twitch and YouTube. Links are in the notes. And with that, I shall wish you a good day.